Hallo und herzlich willkommen, hier ist Razor Kid Chaos und wie ihr seht, wir spielen wieder Stanley! Oh, sorry, ich habe Langeweile. Weil wir spielen wieder Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. Ja! Ich weiß, ihr habt Lust auf dieses Spiel. Let's go! Woohoo! Vielleicht habe ich ein kleines bisschen Langeweile. Aber nur ein kleines bisschen. So. Da, wo wir letztens aufgehört haben. Es geht weiter.
Of course. Going back down in the elevator. How did I not anticipate it? I mean, sure, now it's obvious, but you have to understand that 30 seconds ago, this kind of thing had never been attempted before. I had no frame of reference to even anticipate it. That's just how revelatory Stanley's decision-making is. A breath of fresh air in a landscape of storytelling that has grown stale and repetitive.
Und natürlich gehen wir wieder nach oben. Ich glaube, es wird jetzt erstmal ein kleines Weilchen dauern noch. Ich bringe ihn jetzt gerade ein bisschen zum Kochen. Das ist ein bisschen. Ich glaube, der ist schon allgemein stressig.
You know what? I've just thought of something. Hold on, let's stop for a moment. Don't you realize? It's the anticipation, Stanley. You and I, we have no way of knowing what will be at the top of this elevator. But the suspense, the agony of waiting and anticipating and having to guess, that's the real thrill. Oh, I simply don't want to let that feeling go. It's so precious, so fleeting. Why don't we take this elevator ride nice and slow?
Nice.
There we go. Isn't this so much more exciting? You know, Stanley, it seems like nowadays the only thing that audiences want is to be shocked as loudly and frequently as possible. They want big, explosive moments flung right in their faces from the very moment that things get started. But where's the tension? Where's the trust in the audience to build a slow and nuanced appreciation for the story, the characters? Why aren't we given time to imagine the surprises? To have to think and to anticipate and then to marvel at the eventual reveal. This is storytelling, Stanley. What you and I are doing right now. This is the most exciting narrative to be developed in years. And it's really all because of you. You're the one who took this bold step of revisiting the exact same locations over and over. Truly, I mean it. This is unique and different. It's not like anything else out there. You see, I want stories that surprise me, Stanley. I want to have to think. I want to be engaged and not pandered to. We're being fed such unimaginative drivel all the time, and we all know it, which is why we're so starved for content that makes us feel sharp and vital and alive. That's why people like you so much, Stanley. Because you're not afraid to spit in the face of tradition. You're a role model, you know? People look up to you. Which is why, oh, I didn't know when to spring this on you, but, well, I've gathered a little press conference for you, so that you can talk about your work and your storytelling and your life. Yes, I know you're not much for the public eye, but I thought it would especially mean a lot to the people who have been following you from the beginning. They really look up to you, Stanley. I don't know if you realize the impact you have on them. This is the kind of gesture that might leave a tremendous impact on them for the better. Oh good, we're here.
Oh. Wo sind wir jetzt hier?
Okay, the room where we're holding the press conference should be just around the corner here somewhere.
Live on Stanley. All eyes on Live on Stanley. Wie geil. Ja, so wie ihr gerade eben gesehen habt, ich erkläre es nochmal. Dieses Spiel, man kann verschiedene Endings haben, man kann dieses Spiel verändern. So wie du deinen Weg gehst, verändert sich das Spiel. So wie das jetzt gerade. Weil das sollte jetzt eigentlich nicht so sein. Weil eigentlich sollte ich nach unten fahren und weiterlaufen. Aber ich habe mich dafür entschieden, dass ich nach oben fahre. Die ganze Zeit. Und jetzt ist das passiert. Ja. Und ja. Dann brabbel ich mal nicht so viel weiter und ich bewege mich mal weiter, ne? Storyteller Stanley. The guy who went to Mars. Das ist wunderbar. Who didn't it? The Pyramid. Das muss ich mir jetzt mal gerade fragen. Warum hat er überhaupt einen Plan dafür? Hat er auch die Pyramide falsch herumgebaut? Vielleicht stand sie schon mal auf dem Kopf? Wer weiß. Man muss sich vorstellen, eine Pyramide auf dem Kopf und man geht so rein. Das ist irgendwie ein bisschen komisch. Bisschen sehr komisch. Gut, dann wollen wir mal die Treppen aufgehen. Also schön auch unter Teppich für mich. Extra ausgelegt, das finde ich top. Walls, please, peace, baby. Geil.
Ah, yes, here it is, just through this door.
Stage Door. Ich will aber nicht dort. Stanley Parable Stanley. Tonight, live on stage. Ach du Scheiße. Da wird ein Spaß werden. World's Fights Sentiment Machine. Doing great.
All right, are you ready? I've told them you're going to speak a little bit about the nature of surprise in storytelling and what it means to craft a truly unpredictable narrative. Oh, don't worry, you'll do great. Just be yourself and speak from the heart. I'm really proud of you, Stanley. Okay, it looks like they're ready for you. Go get them.
Okay. To stage, welcome Stanley. Komm. Geil. So. I don't know. Ich habe keinen Plan. 427. Story. Alter. Dann wollen wir mal nach oben gehen. Ja. Na los. Oh! Ja, danke. Ja, ich sehe gar nichts mehr. Oh Mann, ey.
A soft wind blew outside and perhaps rain started, and if it did, it stopped shortly after. Stanley hoped that he would one day see weather.
So. Den schönen Raum kennt man ja. So. Da lang geht's.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Man kann halt, wie man sieht, sehr, sehr viele Möglichkeiten machen und das ist halt das Schöne auch daran. Auch einfach, wenn man diesen Sprecher so nerven kann, dass er so sauer auf einen ist, das finde ich halt so geil. Man kann halt viel lachen bei diesem Spiel.
Yet there was not a single person here either.
Ja.
Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Ich glaube, der Sprecher hatte keine Lust mehr, dass ich durch diese Tür gehe. Er nagelt die Tür einfach zu. Er hat einfach überhaupt gar keine Lust mehr.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs
Ja,
to his
ach,
boss's
oh,
office.
Ich weiß. Ich geh trotzdem mal noch mal hier. Ich finde dieses Klicken halt geil, wenn man selber auf die Tastatur drückt, dass man so ein Klicken hört. Das finde ich halt voll cool. So.
The moment he entered his manager's office, Stanley froze in his tracks. Not a living soul anywhere. Could he really be all alone? This was too much for Stanley to take. Too much for any man to take. He fell to his knees, bursting into half moans, half sobs, the guttural retching of life from a man denied any hope, any reason to keep going. Here on the floor he lay prone, paralyzed by fear for nearly a full hour. But when at last he began to move about and survey the situation, he found a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could it mean? Was it a sign of hope for Stanley's future? Alas, it was not. For although this keypad guarded the terrible secret of Stanley's past, it had been assigned a 4-digit code so devious and so random that no man could ever hope to guess it. 2845. Statistically, nearly impossible to guess blindly. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing.
So.
He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
So, dann fahren wir jetzt mal runter. Loading. Ich werde vielleicht gleich noch was ausprobieren, ob wir nochmal mit dem Fahrstuhl hochfahren können. Oder ob das dann wieder...
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Ja, wir gehen jetzt mal da rein. Und danach gehen wir mit einem anderen rein.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Rauszufinden. Kann man noch auf den Knopf drücken? Wie witzig. Schade. Na, das. Dann gehen wir mal hier hin.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Freedom or nothing. Also ich kriege diese Freiheit.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof, the heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Das sind schöne Knöpfe, die wir mal drücken. Mal gucken, was ist hier überhaupt. Von da kam ich. Geh mal kurz runter. Hm. 0142001. Komisch. 0142. Warte, hier ist eine Nummer. Da ist 12. Muss ja irgendwo mehr Nummern geben. Okay, kommt man nicht mehr hoch. Ha. Komisch, komisch, komisch. Ach, guck mal, hier hinten ist auch noch eine Nummer. 3. Sorry, wenn ihr jetzt so lange warten müsst, aber ich will mal hier wirklich kurz gucken, was passiert, wenn ich jetzt alle Zahlen drücke. Wenn ich die letzte Zahl noch finde. Muss ja auch hier irgendwo versteckt sein. Drei. Die 4 gibt's nicht. Komisch, ich gehe jetzt mal weiter.
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
Ich mach mal.
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes! He had won! He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him. For it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door.
So. Dann wollen wir mal weiter.
Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Ist ja schön, dass es ein Happy End gab. Ich probiere mir jetzt erstmal gleich den anderen Knopf aus. Und dann, ja. Der Raum hat sich verändert. Oh mein Gott.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Der Raum hat sich weiter verändert. Whiteboard Ending. Welcome to the Whiteboard Ending. Dark Mode.
Ich weiß, ich kann nicht.
Oh Mann, ey. Das klingt ja noch bescheuerter. Wow. Nee, das ist zu. Ist auch zu.
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
So, ich gehe jetzt nochmal da zu den Raum. Auch noch
Yet there was not a single person here
den
either.
anderen Knopf zu
Feeling a
drücken.
wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Gehen wir in die andere Richtung von deren Seite.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean, he wondered. Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming New Age music.
Weil ich zu schnell war.
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
Aber da ist er ein bisschen stinkig. Warum das denn bloß? Wie gesagt, wir gehen jetzt erstmal kurz hin, drücken einen anderen Knopf und dann mal gucken, was da passiert.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control
Jetzt gehen wir
Facility.
hier rein nochmal, dann gehen wir da drüben in Escape und dann will ich nochmal den Aufzug drücken. So.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Und im Moment, ich muss ganz kurz was machen. Es geht gleich weiter. So, jetzt bin ich fertig. So.
Now the monitors jumped to life. Their true nature
muss gerade
revealed.
ganz kurz was erledigen.
Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
So.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all. Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control? Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are set to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say 2 minutes. Ah, now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You'll die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock. Why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is? Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you made humble. This is not a challenge. It's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't. Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here, just
Der
you
wahre
being blown to
Mutterknabe.
pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life, or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count, or don't. It's all the same to me, all a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say, happily ever after.
Da ist er gestorben. Hat kurz einmal Bumm gemacht.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
So, jetzt kann man es wieder ein bisschen anders machen. Weil... Oh. Soll ich da reingehen? Nee, noch nicht. Noch nicht. Da gehen wir
When
erst
Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Da gehen wir erst nachher rein. So. Also, da haben wir noch 2 Sachen, die wir machen können. Da haben wir noch eine Sache, die wir machen können. Und ich gehe jetzt erstmal zu die eine Sache. Und zwar... Oder mache ich die eine Sache jetzt... Ich mache jetzt erstmal den, ja, nein, ja, vielleicht kann man hier auch. Oh, nein, ich will stärker als du. Arsch. So.
Yet there was not a single person here
Ja,
either.
ich weiß.
Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley
Ich
decided to
will
go
die
up to
Tür,
his
die Tür
boss's
muss wieder
office,
auf sein.
hoping he might find an answer there.
Ey,
Coming
ich
to a
muss so
staircase,
sauer auf-
Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Ja, ach was. Der ist einfach so sauer auf mich, weil ich jetzt einfach die ganze Zeit...
Okay, I think we all know the drill by now. Blah, blah, blah. Dark secrets, the keypad. Stanley pushes some buttons. Oh, hey, look, it's a new passageway. Kill surprise.
Er ist so richtig genervt. Ah, nee, ich wollte doch noch. Ich will jetzt wissen, ob sich dabei irgendwas geändert hat. Ah, machen wir später. Ich gehe jetzt hier erstmal entlang.
Stanley walked
Und
straight
dann
ahead
glaub ich
through the
nicht
large
durch
door
der Tür,
that
sondern
read
durch
Mind
Escape.
Control Facility. Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death. The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track.
Soll ich das? Nein. Das tue ich nicht.
At this
Ich lauf
point,
weiter.
Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and
Yep.
willingly confront his death.
Ja. Es stimmt mich tot. Glaube ich aber nicht. Ah, guck mal hier.
As the machine
Nee,
whirred
das
into
ist
motion
richtig.
and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence
ich
whatsoever.
will nicht sterben.
Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. And so he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
Oh nein. Oh nein. Nein, 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 nein.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
Oh. The Stanley
And
Parable.
yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish? When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
Landschaftsgemälde. Stanleys Computer. Bürogrundriss. Das Büro. Bürocomputer. Warum spielt der da Brette? Er spielt da erstmal Karten. Aktenschränke. Knopfgeräusche. Auswahl an gesamter Spiel beim Drücken von Knöpfen verwendet werden. Jedes Geräusch ist eine Mischung aus einem Ton, Tastaturenanschlag und ein künstlicher Ton. Wer ist wirklich? Okay. Quidditch. Hier geht's auch weiter. Ich gehe mal hier lang. Chefbüro.
Ich bin gleich wieder da. Ich gehe mal kurz mit meiner Schwester kochen.
Das Chefbüro kann sich auch jedes Mal verändern. Weil das sind jetzt hier die Bürouhr. Da wird dir auch angezeigt, was hier auch alles für Enden gibt. Die Lounge. Underground.
See how it's impossible for the player to do anything in this room? Perfect example of poor level design. Textbook mistake. It's the kind of thing you'd pick up on intuitively if you had even the most fundamental understanding of good and bad game design. But of course, you being you, would probably spend the next...
Da will man nicht lange drin sitzen. Oh, mal hier hochgehen. Ich will mich auch nicht viel spoilern lassen. Countdown-Schreibtisch. Okay. Der Fahrstuhl. Überwachungsraum-Fahrstuhl.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free.
Es gibt so viele Sachen, die du hier machen kannst. Das Büro kann sich auch verändern. So krass, was es so viele Sachen gibt. Es gibt einfach viel zu viel. Erzähler-E-Mails. Oh Mann. Der Wohnungstimer. Der Lastaufzug. Der Lastaufzug. Es gibt halt so viele Endings, dass man alles machen kann. Das ist Wartungsraum, Grundriss, Wie gesagt, es gibt so derbe viel, was du hier alles machen kannst. Es ist wirklich sau viel, aber ich lese es mir jetzt nicht alles durch oder gucke es mir alles an, weil das ist auch auf eine Art ein kleiner Spoiler. Das möchte man auch nicht. Man will einfach dieses Spiel vernünftig spielen und Schlachtfeld. Man möchte nicht einfach die ganze Zeit gespoilert werden, das will man einfach nicht. Ähm, Deswegen, ich habe mir jetzt bloß ein paar Sachen da angeguckt, aber durchlesen werde ich mir hier nicht alles, weil es einfach blöd ist, weil man einfach nicht alle Endings wissen möchte, weil man es selber herausfinden möchte. Also auch verständlich, wenn ich mich hier nicht umgucke, dass ihr Bescheid wisst. Aber bevor wir diesen schönen Knöpfchen drücken, würde ich sagen, man hört sich. Und das war's mit Stanley Parable Deluxe Edition. Ja. Kids Chaos sagt ciao und ich wünsche euch noch einen schönen Tag.